And you can see some big strokes being taken over there on the far side. And then you have the umpires giving some commands. You know, those docks have to move back and forth. The people on the docks have to move back and forth as they, you know, as they get the point, because the boats are actually different sizes, right? They're different lengths, even though they're all 8s. Some of them might be a little bit shorter or a little bit longer, or the volunteer on the stake boat might be holding it in a different place. So the line is really trying to do the best job possible to get these boats set up straight. A little bit more sculling from lane number 8. Oars to get that boat straight and aligned. And look at this. This boat is named the Christine Cavallo.
I know. I saw that one. I was like, oh, snap. We know who that is.
If you don't know, she's one of our U.S. beach sprint athletes. And here we go. We have the polling by the umpires, sitting there waiting for that beep.
And they're off.
And there's always that tension right there between that attention and then that beep. You know, sometimes they hold that beep a little long and you're just like chomping at the bit. Let's go. Looks like we have a little bit of a steerage over there from TBC Racing, but it looks like they're getting back on line there. And we're off, and all of these boats seem to be coming off the line hot. And we have Oars taking that initial lead over here in lane 8, followed closely by, it looks like Newport right there. So this is just within that first 500. Even that first 250, the boats are up high. They're sprinting. They're taking shorter strokes. They're lengthening out. They're getting into their stride. And so right now that race is just, they're setting up that base for their race.
Absolutely. Again, early lead by our Orlando area rowing in that lane, in lane 8 there. But again, in that second place spot, it's pretty hard to tell. I say lanes 1 through 7 in second place.
And yeah, it looks as though Newport had a bit of, was holding in there, had a nice start, but it looks like they're slipping back now, and Triangle has maybe gotten a little bit, maybe a canvas over them. But right there, you still have, you have Saratoga to Newport's right, and Rowe, New Jersey, as well as White Marsh, Greenwich, and TBC Racing. So they're all in it at this point. And one of those things, once again, you know, we have this split on the far side. You can see right now that Greenwich Crew B and White Marsh are still like trying to extend that lead from the middle of the pack. So we'll see if we'll have sort of this two-sided race once again.
Absolutely. And as we're seeing coming across this line, or coming across our screens here, that's going to be your lane 8 Orlando area rowing, your fastest crew that booked the fastest time out of that semifinal here, going into the 500-meter piece of this race. In that second place spot, it's kind of hard to tell here, but possibly Triangle.
Yeah, it looked like Triangle and Newport were through through their necks, but this looks like this might be a little bit of a heated battle if this Triangle Newport situation continues. And that only does one thing: that pushes that Oars boat even more, because if they're pressing up, you'll see they'll have to respond, because Triangle and Newport are starting to put a little bit of heat on them.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, we're about 2.5 minutes into this race here, so obviously, you know, it's always hot going within that first 500 meters of the race here, but we're going to start to get, as you can see in the background, a 750, so we're 250 to go until we enter into that third 500 meters of the race. And I think we may start to see some separation. We'll start to see if a crew has flied or died, or if they are remaining true to their pace and to their foundations that they've built over the year.
Yeah, and looking here, just like I said, it looks like the Triangle and Newport are starting to apply a little bit of pressure to that Oars boat, and we'll see if the coxswain in that Oars boat says, like, we got to get out of here. We need to make a move. We've got the lead, and it looks as though they're pressing a little bit, trying to hold on. But Newport is really putting the pressure on Triangle and forcing them to have to take it up, and that's really putting the pressure on Oars. So we'll see if that dynamic continues throughout the rest of the race, and what that does to the athletes, what that does to their overall game plan.
Absolutely. And as as I'm looking right now, it's kind of hard to tell at this point. I mean, again, it looks like Orlando area is still holding on, but it looks like Newport Aquatic Center is moving on up. And as you said, Akil, applying that pressure. And I'll be safe to say, once we get a nice aerial shot or a good view of being able to line up these boats, I got a good feeling that the momentum is in the eyes of Newport.
That's right, and you can see Newport has that Saratoga boat right off of its stern, and with that, there's also that Greenwich boat that's right there with them. So we'll see through this 1,000-meter mark, you know, whether or not Saratoga and Greenwich can, Saratoga and White Marsh are going to be able to do anything to apply some pressure.
Absolutely, and we're seeing now. I think that Triangle is realizing that Newport has started to make a move, and it seems like Triangle absolutely kind of took it up a little bit just to maintain that stroke for stroke with this Newport, with that Newport boat. And again, Orlando Air is still doing a good job maintaining, staying composed as they get closer to the last 500 meters of the race.
Yeah, now we're through the 1250. You can see the boats are coming through hot and fast, and over at the top there, it looks as though we have White Marsh that's trying to insert itself into the conversation. And that Saratoga boat is still right there on the stern of that Newport boat. So there's still some time here, depending on what happens when we decide to go to the sprint. We're coming into that last 500, and these are tough races right here, because you have situations where, okay, maybe we didn't expect to go high here, but we've got to do something to change the complexion of this race. So as we go through the 500, that extra tough 500, you got on your sweet extra tough boots.
Got them on.
We're going to see what these athletes can do to try to put themselves a little bit higher in that rankings for 2025.
Absolutely, and so they're in that last 500 meters of the race here, and sometimes you just got to start early and pray for the best, because again, it looks like this Orlando boat is still maintaining, but we see this Triangle boat in that lane 7 starting to press on, and it looks like they now may have evened up the score with Orlando area.
Yeah, and so this is where it's tricky, right? You've led the whole race. What's going on in the psychology of the athletes in that Oars boat? Are they like, we've got this, we know we've got this, or are they, whoa, we've been holding the lead and now they're moving? So now it's the coxswain's job to motivate these athletes, to get them to continue doing what they were doing the whole race. So right now, as we come into view, they're about to hit that last 250, and this is it. This is for the money. This is go time.
It is, and as they're approaching that, the red buoys, I like to call that the runway, because now it's time to take off, and there is no landing. They are going into the last 250 meters of the race. Orlando area, Triangle, Newport seems to be your top 3 crews right now. Who's going to take the 9th spot in the nation, taking away the B final?
Yeah, and you know, like I said, we've got something going on over there on the other side too. We'll see if this White Marsh crew, they've taken it up and they're putting the pressure on Newport right now. And so can they continue to put the pressure on while Saratoga's putting the pressure on them? So right now we're looking at coming across the line. We've got Oars continuing to hold on. Now we've got Triangle putting on the pressure, and now we've got Newport, and they're right there. And so looking across now, looks as though White Marsh is going to come across, but Road New Jersey Rye was pushing hard to keep them going. And now we've got TBC crossing and Greenwich, and finally we've got White Marsh